How
Good
are
morning,
you?
guys. I'm great. Yeah, it's nice to connect with you guys. Murray made the introduction. I'm friends with Murray, so
Yeah.
here we are. I don't know what background she gave you, but
She,
I'll get.
it was like super high level, like super
Uh,
high level. And because it's her, I was like, okay, tell me more. Most people that say the word Detroit and invest, I'd be like, nah,
mhm.
I'm not interested. But because it was her, she really piqued my curiosity. And
Yeah.
so I started asking her a bunch of questions, and she was like, I don't know. I don't know. You'll have to ask James, come to this thing. So that's why when I wasn't able to make it, because both Yusuf and I were leaving to go to Brazil the night you guys did the
Right.
event,
Yeah.
it's like way too chaotic. I was like, let's just set up a Zoom meeting. Sorry to make
Okay.
you go through the spiel twice, but so
Well, I'll
give
get
us
at it.
give
Okay.
us the full rundown.
Yeah, cool. So I'm in Toronto, just so you know. I'm here along with my business partner and lifelong friend, Wojtek, who's the president of the company. Okay, we're Canadian real estate investors, first and foremost. Around like 8 years ago, we were looking for something different. We were struggling with the Ontario market from an investment perspective for cash flow and the cost of acquisition. We were
Of course.
introduced through some mutual contacts to potentially go into the States. In particular, we were really introduced to the Detroit market. And just like you said, we were a little daunted by that, going like, really? Like, is that really where you'd want to go? But here's the reality of it. The city of Detroit's been going through like a massive revitalization. Okay. And
Yeah, I
since
know. I know that.
it literally went bankrupt like 8 years ago.
Yeah.
What happened was
I know.
the US federal government came in, bailed it out for like 8 billion to restore a lot of the essential services and to save the city. But what happened at that time was a core group of U.S. billionaires came in, like guys like Dan Gilbert who owns Quicken Loans and the Cleveland Cavaliers, and they have ties to the city, and they started to put their money where nobody else was, which is into downtown. Okay,
Yeah.
so we heard that it was actually a lot nicer than you would preconceive. That there was a lot of investment going there, a lot of construction. There was new sports arenas for all the major sports teams, hotel construction, and that there are these underlying like residential neighborhoods that surround the city, like 10 to 15 minutes to the east and west, where it's actually
Yeah.
like kind of like Bloor West Village in Leaside. And you could buy colonial homes, like brick colonial 4-bedroom homes at the time for like 70,000 US. And
Yeah.
you could renovate them with local contractors and rent them out for double-digit returns. Okay, so that was like enough for us to get in the car. And we went down, and we were really like pleasantly surprised. We got there; it was a lot cleaner, a lot busier. You could see a lot of the stuff that I just talked about was going on. You could see like the streets were busier, the restaurants were full, and like there were streetcar tracks going in. And we went out to these homes, and just like I said, like it was definitely, there's some areas of Detroit where you don't want to go, so we just don't go there. But
Sure.
there are other neighborhoods that are B class, like residential areas where there's rows and rows of brick homes, some renovated, some not, um, where we saw some assets that looked really attractive and we bought them. And we at the time we didn't have renovation in hand, so we outsourced it and we rented them out. It didn't take us very long to realize this was real. Okay, that you could get sort of 12 to 13% cap rates and really affordable acquisition. So long story short, here we are 8 years later, right? After a lot of hard work with a very substantial like turnkey operation that we're on a lot of the major real estate platforms across the country. We have a property management company with two divisions. We currently manage around 500 homes in Metro Detroit for Canadians.
Wow.
Okay, we
Mhm.
have
What's
eight
the
crews of
value of
con.
that? Sorry. What's the value roughly?
Uh,
I won't hold you to it, but like roughly what's that value?
you know, they're it's the average price of the homes, like, so they're about 100,000 to 150,000 each,
Right.
right? So like we have a lot of assets under management, right? And uh I think what really defines us as an operator and why we strike a chord for so many people is because that we're fully turnkey. Okay, so everything that you would need from getting set up with the proper U.S. entity formation for taxation, like how to own the homes, like so you don't get double taxed by the IRS and the CRA, through in-house construction, where we have about 8 crews of contractors that are currently renovating, between 8 to 10 homes right now in Detroit for orders, through property management and tenanting, through lending options, through US banking, insurance, everything from like A to Z that you would need to make this a successful like remote investment. We have either in-house or at the tip of our fingertips, right? So for a lot of Canadians who are looking at something that potentially is more affordable, that has a higher return on investment, and you can latch on to a reputable turnkey operator like ourselves that knows the lay of the land. You can navigate the streets as to where to buy or where not to buy. It really strikes a chord because a lot of people have been looking for this. So we're really busy, right? We go to a lot of national real estate podcasts. We partner with a lot of the networks. So just so you understand this lay of the land down there, if we're in Detroit, and there's maybe 60 neighborhoods that's total in downtown and surround the outer cores of the city and Metro Detroit. There's really only like 6 or 7 that we operate in. Okay,
Right.
and they're the premier B class high appreciation quote unquote hot pockets where it's been enjoying some of it actually is the highest appreciation in the US right now. It's like the hottest real estate. It's
More
because the
than
homes are
Tampa?
so.
'Cause-
Yeah, I can send you the articles from Bloomberg from last week. It's just overtaken like a lot of those Florida markets. So we're experiencing like over the last 6 years, like close to 15% annual appreciation in these hot pockets. Okay, so what I was trying to say is that these same neighborhoods where we're operating are the same ones that the major U.S. real estate funds and REITs are, and the reason it's going up so much is because of this investment that's going into Detroit. And I'll talk more about that from like the tech sector has moved in there and because it's so affordable, right? And these homes like are beautifully architecturally beautiful brick colonials that we're selling renovated at like half construction cost. Okay, like you couldn't build the house for what we're selling them for, right?
Sure.
So they're going up and up and up. So there's a lot of buzz there. A lot of the major funds and REITs are there. So these little hot pockets have been really, really good to us. So we're able to, so what we do as an operator is we're looking for homes and we have our sources there. We know these streets like the back of our hands. We know where to buy and where not to buy. If we see something that looks good, we'll acquire it. And we'll say, what would it cost us to buy the house? And it's not rocket science when you're dealing with $100,000 here, right? I mean, maybe we buy it for 70 and we put 30 into it and we sell it for 119 with a 10% profit to run a company, right? And that home will be 100% rent ready, turnkey with a higher grade rental finish, well above Detroit rental standards, new kitchens, bathrooms, like roof, windows, electrical, downspouts, all up to code. They're really nice. I mean, for what you're paying, like you'd be really pleasantly surprised. A lot of grays and whites. I could send you some recent renovations for you to see.
I would love
And they rent out the maximum market rent. Okay, so and that rent is
like
proportionally
give or take.
high.
What's that like? What's max rent right now in that market?
Well, it's around like between 13 to 1500 a month, but you have to understand when you're paying 100 to 130, 140,000, it's really good. Okay, we're not paying 1.5 million here, right? So it's all in proportion. So when I send you the pro formas later today, you're going to see like where the returns lie. It's great because the things in Detroit where it shines and why it's so cash flow heavy is that the costs that come off your rental payout are a fraction of what they are in Canada. Things like property tax, insurance, maintenance. At the end of the day, it just nets a lot of that rent is going right into your bank account. So it's pure cash flow, right? It's the reason we were attracted to the market, and it's still the reason that we're there, right? It's the home's cash flow in a manner that's just unattainable in most markets in the United States and definitely anywhere in Canada. So we see homes that look like a good fit. If it works, so we could pick it up, we could renovate it, and we could sell it to you. So it's a win for you. It's a win for us. We pick them up, and then the first thing we do is before we do that, we send our contractors in. They really assess the property, like what kind of state is it in? Like, what would it like? Which we don't want massive restoration projects, right? I mean, we want middle grade effort renovations where we're just essentially we're looking for the homes that are dated, not ones that have been vacant for a long period of time, right? But after that, we provide them to people like yourselves or our internal client base that are scaling, because most people are scaling with us, and we'll talk about that as investments. And we'll send you the pro forma. You can see the numbers, and then we have a full turnkey system to prepare you for investing in the United States so that you don't get double taxed, et cetera. We get you set up with LLCs and NLP. And then we go through the process to get you the homes. Okay. From there, we stabilize them through our property management. We get you US banking, business banking. You're all set up. We deposit the money into your account every month. Where these homes shine as well, besides the cash flow, is the appreciation and the equity capture. Okay. So they're going up a lot in value, which makes them highly refinanceable. Okay. So a lot of our investors will come in, they'll acquire the home, and then we'll refi within the first 6 months. Okay,
Wow.
like 6 months after purchase. And where that really is advantageous is that almost all these homes will appraise when they get appraised 25,000 higher than what you paid at purchase. Like because we forced the lift through the renovations.
Yeah.
And we pass that equity over to you because we want you to be a big success, and more than anything else, we want you to buy more homes, right? So why is that so important? It's because like the loan to value ratio for foreign nationals, the LTV is, it's around 70%.
Yeah.
So if we can give you the lift,
Mhm.
that's just going to be really working out in your favor when you go to refi, because you can refi the home from the higher valuation, right? And you can pull almost all the cash back out and buy more houses. So we've had a lot of our clients have scaled and are scaling onto 5, 6, 7 of these homes and building into sort of meaningful portfolios. So when they want to sell them or pass them down or retire, they have a bunch of them, and it just really works out well for that because they just keep going up in value. I'm not saying this is everywhere in Detroit, because I'm not talking about the whole neighborhoods in Detroit. I'm talking about in these hot pockets, right? And we really just focus in them, and we know where they are, and we just sort of follow them around. There's like these core neighborhoods that have just gone up and up and up in value. And then when they fill up and the prices get too expensive, where it doesn't maybe make as much sense for a rental anymore, we just like, we'll be the one right next to it that just sort of starts to gentrify, right? And we really stick to a very really tested formula that is quite predictable, particularly in single family homes.
Sure.
Okay, because if we were there today and we were driving around, like the three of us, and you were like, you know what, man, this is actually nicer. You're right, this is actually really nice. I could see myself owning a house here in those neighborhoods where you would like it. It's what's there. Okay, it's brick colonials and bungalows. If we start looking for multis, like fourplexes, sixplexes, you got to go a little further out. And just to be completely honest with you, it gets a little rough, right? And so what happens then? Well, they look really good on paper, but when it goes into real life, they're a little bit more transient with the renters. Maybe some stuff's going on at the units that you don't want. You as a landlord as well, and the multifamilies have to pay some of the gas and water split. So it never really works out as well as we would like, and they don't go up nearly as much in value. Okay, so these single family homes are the assets that are in like the marquee neighborhoods that get the highest appreciation. You don't have to pay any of the utilities that the renters do, and they're going up way more in value. So we typically just deal in single family homes, as do a lot of the major funds. They perform very predictable, and they've gone up a lot. All right, for us.
So
Yeah.
I have a couple questions just based on like what you said. I have a few questions, but just like as you're kind of like going through it. So with the lenders, are you guys using traditional A lenders like the big banks, or are you using B lenders and private to refi?
It's like a private lenders, but they're very, very good. They're like the biggest one in the United States. They have tons of money. So we use like the massive lender. We took years for us to get where we are with our lending. Okay, sure. So I'll explain that a little to you. When we first started, it was nearly impossible. Like when I first went to Detroit, I was like James from Canada, walked into Detroit. I didn't have a US social security number. I didn't have US assets or much collateral. So when I was introduced to a lender, they were very skeptical and hesitant to lend me money, because if I defaulted on the mortgage, it was like zero recourse. I don't really exist down there. So what we did to circumvent that initially was to buy them outright, okay, which wasn't that much money. So say we came in from Canada, we got set up with the correct entity formation, like the correct LLCs and stuff. We'd buy them, say $100,000 between me and my girlfriend, right? We'd own the house. What would happen then was the lenders would be more than happy to work with us now, because we own the asset, so we could refi them within 6 months, because if anything was to happen, they could potentially just lien on the house, right? So it's called asset-based lending. It's different. so we went through pulling our hair out for years and years, just trying to find a lending partner that would deal with foreign nationals. It has opened up now. So we deal with a major US lender. They're out of Connecticut. Um, we don't have to use a broker in the middle. So there's a lot of less origination points and fees. Their interest rates are the same as like the major banks. Okay. Like I said, if you get introduced through us to them, it's going to go a long way. They're not going to really delve too much into your Canadian financial history and or like your what you do for a living, etc. You just have to be like, you have to send in some passport scans. You got to fill that. It's really based off the assets. It's a different style of lending. So as long as the house has a debt service ratio where it's cash flow positive when it has a mortgage on it, okay, you're set up with the proper US entities, right? You have a US bank account that matches the same business entity, right? And you have the EIN numbers, which are the registration numbers with the IRS that I help you get for those businesses. We're in business, right? And then the file opens, but 12 requirements come out. We send in like the original purchase of the house, either for a purchase or for a refi, it's the same. We check off the list, we get the house appraised, you have to show some money in the US account. That's going to be the down payment. And then the deal's closed. It takes 30 days.
So that US account, is that held, is that like a US escrow account, or are you now opening up a bank account in the US? Because that's what the private lender, like what's the account?
Well, yeah. So when I get you set up, if we were to hypothetically go forward here, right, I would get you set up with like the proper US entities, because whether you're going to borrow money or not, you need to be set up correctly for taxation, or else this is not going to work. We could talk a little bit more about that after I answer your question. So we're going to get you guys a company in Michigan. Okay. And you guys are going to be joint owners of it, or if you have another partner, there can be 3 of you. We're also going to, once you get that, our lawyer will get you the registration with the IRS for that. Once you get that, I can get you a US banking account. So you're all set up in the States. So now you're no longer just, just James from Canada. Now I'm set up. I got a US company, I have a US EIN, and I have a US business bank account to get you a MasterCard, all this kind of stuff, with all under the same business, right? Now we're in a position where like the lenders are going to work with you because you actually have you're established, you're set up properly now. So as this business that owns these homes grows and you do your lending, you'll have your business bank account for the entities that own the house. You keep it separate. And then our US Michigan tax attorneys will manage the home's income for you at the end of the year. And they produce a package for you at the end that you can then show to your Canadian accountant. Now, why is this so beneficial? It's because if you're not set up correctly, guys, you could potentially be taxed by both countries, right? So there's a structure that we've used like 450 times before you that was created at Ultra LLP, which is the top cross-border tax specialist in Canada. It's been vetted on multiple television interviews and podcasts, where we're going to help you get a limited partnership in Michigan. It's like an LLC, but it's a little different. It's called an LP, and then the LLC owns 1% of the LP. When that structure owns your house in Michigan, you get the benefit of pass-through taxation between Canada and the US. So you're only subject to being taxed in Michigan. And by the time Richard Sharp, our attorney, is done with it with the write-offs, you're almost paying no tax, okay? I manage like a huge amount of the front end of this business. Nobody's ever once emailed me, called me, texted me, or had a conversation with me and said you guys were wrong. All right. So I can send you a little a document. It's called How to Own US Real Estate. And it just kind of gives you a little bit of a background of the structure. And then if you're interested, I could give you an email introduction to Richard. Richard, you guys could have a call with you. He can explain how the structure works and why. And then if you ever wanted to get set up, he has a package deal. It's like $13.50 US. He could form both your companies for you. He gets you the registration numbers with the IRS, and he gets you a bank account. So you're all set up correct, right? I mean, so the cash comes in every month from the houses. It goes into your US account. And that's the name of the game. If you want to bring the money back to Canada, you can. It's no problem, because as long as it hits the US account first, right? So.
And that makes sense to me. That all makes sense to me. That's fine. When you're talking about the turnaround time from the time of acquiring a property, doing the renos, and getting it ready to put in a tenant, and being cash flow positive, what's the
Mhm.
average kind of like, what does that turnaround time typically look like?
Well, I have a mixture of properties available now. Some are actually just being tenanted, so it's zero. I mean, like it's like so. It used to be that we were a little further behind. We weren't quite where we are in construction. So typically it would be I show you a property, you sign a potential intent to purchase with obviously a lot of due diligence and availability to exit. And then we would renovate, it would take 30 days. And then during that 30-day process, we would go through the lending or getting you set up if it's a cash purchase, then we would close. These homes are in really good neighborhoods in Detroit. They're also very desirable homes for people to live in. You'd be looking at about another 30 days for the tenant to be in, and then it would be cash flowing. Okay. And then what I can tell you that's really exciting is that the tenants stay really long term. Like our property managers do, that's got to do with property management. So we have in-house property management that was started by us. We have a Detroit team now running it that they do a really good job on the vetting and screening of people that are going to live in your home. So they're not just taking anybody that just shows up, because that would be a nightmare. They really screen them to see what kind of record they have, if they have a criminal record, if they've ever been evicted before, and they get a lot of good quality families that are needing homes to live in. And so if you look at the 500 homes that we're managing, about 85% of the original families that have been there. And they stay 4, 5, 6 years without moving, and we can just raise the rent every year, and that's amazing. And then if they do leave, we can help you with a quick turn, we can paint the place, and then get somebody right back in. But they do stay very long term. I have some now that are actually tenanted. So what does that mean? It means there's somebody living there already. So we would still go through the same process, getting you set up. We can still get the same appraisals and such, but that means that you'd be cash flowing from closing, be prorated. So if you close on the 18th of May, then you'd be getting rent from the 18th of May that day, put straight into your bank account.
Okay, well I mean, that's like music to my ears.
Yeah, for
That's all,
sure. No, a
that's all.
lot of people too, especially if you're carrying a mortgage, right? So yeah.
So let me ask you about, because when Marie initially told me about this, my understanding, because you mentioned like obviously what you're referring to is that B market.
Yeah.
She made it sound like, and I'm sure this is in your portfolio, and maybe this is where you guys started once upon a time, that the homes, not necessarily that they were multi-res, some of them yes, but like it could be single family. But the way that she explained it to me was that it was almost like it was subsidized rent from the government, and that was a flow through from the government to the landlord, and the tenant didn't touch it. So it was like guaranteed, basically a guaranteed rent without the headache of tenants defaulting or like not paying.
You got the nail on the head. Like so it doesn't matter what the quality of the neighborhood in Detroit. We use a U.S. government guaranteed rental program, so our rents are guaranteed. Like it has nothing to do with the tenants. So here we go. I'm gonna make this as clear as possible. If you said to me, James, this sounds really good what you're saying, but where's the catch? Where's the risk in us saying, okay, we want to do this? I would tell you, this is in my experience, it's like no matter how well you screen a tenant in Detroit or in Pittsburgh or in Cleveland or in Buffalo, the risk with the cash tenant is eventually they're gonna stop paying.
Totally.
Like I don't know when it's gonna be. It may be on month 15. They're going to go in there probably with good intentions, and you screen them and they're nice people, but eventually the rent stops, right? And so we did it long enough where it's like, okay, this is like really starting to become a bit of a problem, right? So there's a massive rental program in the US, okay? And a lot of people, when they hear that, it puts their hairs up on the back of their neck a little bit, but I got to tell you about it right away. It's called Section 8 housing, okay? Within Section 8, there's good tenants and there's bad tenants, right? It's not a full meal ticket where they can do absolutely nothing. So what does that mean? It means they have to work because it's only the rent. So nobody's paying for the car, gas, the electric bill, or putting like food on the table or clothing on the kid's back, right? It's typically a lot of single mothers.
Okay.
Maybe she's working like at the local hospital, but she's got 4 kids or 3 kids. She's struggling making the ends meet. And we can find those kind of tenants and we can place them in your house, and the rent just comes every month, guaranteed from like the U.S. federal government, and it's amazing. So what does that mean? It's like there's no risk of defaulting. So we go through this process. Market rent is the same as if it was cash, so it makes absolutely no difference. We put them in the house, and then every month the rent comes from the US federal government directly to property management. So the tenant does not have the capability of touching the money, and we just deposit it in your bank account every month. Okay. I can tell you this program has been amazing for us. Like during
It's on
COVID,
all your properties across the board, whether it's,
yeah, yeah.
okay.
So
Okay.
it's not like in areas of that have been like sort of denoted as government housing areas and stuff like that. It's not like that. Okay. This program can be in B-class Detroit neighborhoods in a nice brick renovated colonial home. We could put it like a middle class, like working Michigan family that is struggling to make full ends meet. They have applied for some assistance. They've got the voucher, and we place them in the home. Okay. They have to adhere to a pretty strict guidelines to keep the voucher. The house has to be kept in good repair. They have to cut the grass, shovel the snow. The homes are inspected by Section 8. If they breach that and like the home is messed, or they don't keep up their end of the bargain, they can lose the voucher. And from what I understand, it's like nearly impossible to get it back. So they don't.
Okay.
And I see these homes all the time on the appraisals, and when they go inside and they enter and they see the pictures, we see a lot of people like with the pride of rentership. It's been a blessing. You know, during COVID, when things were mucked up for the last like 3 years, and there was a moratorium on eviction court, like nobody was paying rent.
Sure.
And the U.S. federal government said that's okay. Other outfits that do what we do that had predominantly cash tenants, they went out of business, and the investors lost a lot of money. We have grown exponentially. We've gone on more podcasts than ever. We've hired a second division of property management, more contractors. And you know why? Because everybody gets their rent every month, right?
Well,
And these are invested properties. They're not like vacation rentals where you or I are going for a barbecue on Sunday, right? We need to make money on these homes, and Section 8 has just been amazing for us, right? So you would have a very, 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 very hard time telling me you didn't want to go Section 8 in Detroit, because I would be telling you like it's not the way to go do it, because what's going to happen is you're going to call me in like a year, you're going to say my tenant's not paying and we got to evict. And I was going to be like, I know. If you do this way, it just takes that out of the equation. Like every Tuesday, I sit through Zoom with Detroit. It's not my favorite hour of the week on property management calls, but almost all the problems I hear about are in like the 10% of our portfolio that's left over that's cash. Like
right.
from when we first started, like the rest of the 80%, it's fairly quiet, right? And people are just living there and the rent's coming in. So Marie was right in telling you that, you know, so when you factor in like the growth of the appreciation on these homes, right? And like what's happening down there, and then I tell you that your rent is guaranteed, it makes a lot of sense. It really turns it into like a straight up investment where you can look at a pro forma that I send you. You're going to see this is the price of the house, right? This is what the rent is. This is what the property management fee is. It's low. You're going to see this is what the insurance costs. This is what the property tax costs. This is my net monthly cash flow. And that's going to be the number that goes into your account every month, right? And I can't really foresee too many things happening for it not to happen, because it's just guaranteed rent, right? So, and then it makes no difference. I really want to rehash this or reiterate this, that even if you said, you know, I really want to take a cash tenant, you're not going to get more rent. Like it goes off market rent, which is done off rental comps within the, you know, through a radius of the house. So
I'm uninterested in that. I'm more, I would even take a haircut on rent to have it guaranteed over a longer time versus Detroit, the risk of like, you could come to me in month 6 or month 12 or 15, like you said, just stop paying. And so I would, and take the appreciation with a slightly lower rent for guaranteed. So,
but it's not. But I can tell you it's not. Like, so market rent is market rent. Like it really is. So if I show you a house, which I will later today, I'll send you guys some. Like it even if you said, you know what, I don't want that program, I want to go cash, you're not going to get more money.
Sure.
You're just going to get more risk. So good for you for seeing that. And I can tell you that if we ever go there or down there today, you see these houses, they're just a mixture. Like this one's Section 8, that one's cash, that one's got a mortgage on it with a homeowner, and you cannot tell the difference. Everything just blends into the same neighborhood. These are Detroit, Michigan working class homes. They're close proximity to the major manufacturing plants in downtown, and they're nice homes. They're good investment, and they're going up a lot, and they
James,
cash flow.
that is one of our questions for sure. And what I would love in the info that you send me today, if you can send me some of the names of the streets so I can go Google walk them and but you know, I think like we're pretty serious about Like, and actually it's the right time. Like I just sold one of my properties in Costa Rica. My partner, like Yusuf and I are talking about investing
Yeah.
outside of Canada, in the US, possibly over in Europe. And so we're in this like ready to make a right move. Can do it
Mhm.
really quick if it's the right thing. But I've said to him, like, we would want to come down to Detroit to actually see
Yeah,
some of these markets. It's not far for us to
sure.
go.
Well, we're there every 2 weeks. So that's awesome. Everything you said. So like what I could do is I could like after I follow up from a Zoom like this, I usually have a pretty standard protocol. So I can send you a bunch of information. Like not I'll send you the houses. I'm gonna send you that document I said just on like how we get you set up, just so you understand like the structure for taxation, right? I'll send you some links to some recent renos so you can see some before and afters, right? They don't all look exactly the same, but it's pretty close. A lot of grays and whites, really clean houses. You're gonna like it, okay? I'm gonna send you some recent articles that really came out like a week ago that just really sort of highlight what I've just said about the Detroit market, like how hot it is and how much the prices are going up, right? I could send you a bunch of listings. Okay, within the listings, I'm gonna there's ours, like they're off market. They're gonna be the descriptions of the homes, why I like them, what the neighborhood quality is, and what the characteristics are of the house. And then on the bottom of the email, you're gonna see like 6 or 7 pro formas of like the properties that I could show you today. You'll see what they look like if you were to come down with cash from Canada and buy it outright. That is going to be what it would look like if you came in with a 30% down payment. Okay, right side is unleveraged cash, left side, right side is leveraged, right? And then from there, you know, if I have some other information I can send you as well, just look it through, okay? And I'll highlight like the neighborhoods and the streets. You can look at it. Just get, and then you're going to get a pretty good feeling if this is still something of interest to you.
Sure.
I can always introduce you to Richard if you have any questions. Like after you read this article, you're gonna say, "Yeah, this sounds stupid. What if I want to sell? Like, what about capital gains? What if you want to bring the money back to Canada?" He would be able to have like a free complimentary call with you. A lot of people find that good.
Yep.
You could, so I can make that intro. Okay, from there, I run the front end of the business, which is talking to people like yourselves and helping people buy homes and go through it. Whereas Wojtek manages the construction, acquisition, and the contractors. He's down every 2 weeks, okay, on site.
Yep.
I did that enough. Okay, at this point, I went down a lot. I mean, I still go down sometimes, but he's there religiously every 2 weeks because he has to manage construction. We can find a day that works for you that when he's there, right?
Yep.
And he comes down and he meets you, go out for lunch. I may come, go for lunch, and then take about 2 or 3 hours, drive you around the neighborhoods. You can see the houses and go inside,
Yeah.
right? Get excited. So we
Yeah.
can do all that, right? And that's kind of like what we do, like a lot of. And I can tell you at this point of where we're at in doing this, we're very matured in our experience, and our turnkey system and our teams on the ground are working very well. And we've learned what to do and what not to do, as everybody does as we grow older and work hard. So we know where to buy, not to buy, and we know our construction has gotten way better and faster. And our tenant team has done the same. Our lawyers are great to get people set up, and our bankers are awesome. So we've got a good team.
And remind me, sorry, and because this is on your Zoom, there's 1 minute
Yeah.
left and it's gonna cut
Yeah.
off.
Okay.
Which I can send a new link as well, like that we can just jump on mine or whatever. But remind me, how long have you been with the company for?
Me, I've been with the company. Yeah. So I've known the owner, Wojtek, is my best friend for like 35 years. I personally have been with the company for 6 years.
Okay, and then how many homes are you invested in?
Well, we have close to 100 down there. I don't personally have, so Wojtek and the company is invested in close to 100 doors personally, right? So he has that. I mean, I'm and then some of that is multifamily a little bit, but and then we have about 420 under ownership of our client base. That's
But
growing quickly.
are you invested in any?
Yeah, we're investing about 5 right now. So I came in a position where I was rebuilding on multiple fronts when I joined. First and foremost, I had to rebuild in the Canadian